Tactically, Brazil played scared. They sat so low. They were so condensed in like 15 yards of space in their defensive third. Norway looked more Brazil than Brazil looked Brazil. The fact that Norway had that much possession against the quality that Brazil has to be able to press, to go at them, put them on their heels, make them respect them, go 1v1. The moments that they did go 1v1, they were brilliant. You saw the joy. You saw what we believe is Brazil, what we've come to love about Brazil. They played so fearful that it allowed Norway to get more into the game, get more aggressive. Holland hardly touched the ball. The moments that he did, he scored some goals. But you gave them those opportunities to have that confidence, to give Holland that confidence, because it was gritty. But they didn't match Norway in any way, and we're seeing that proven.
Yeah, we're talking, look here now, ifs, buts and maybes, JD, but if that penalty did go in, how would that have affected the game? Did you want to see Vinny step up and take it? How do you think that changed the whole momentum?
It wouldn't have changed the game at all, because
it wouldn't.
No, let me explain to you what's happening in Brazil, and they don't want to face it, which is that every nation has to go through a transition. At some point, you have to go for a revamp, and you have to look yourself in the mirror. And unfortunately, Brazil are going through a massive identity crisis. They have been for the longest whiles, from the beginning of my lifetime anyway, and probably before then, like, they have been the trailblazers in football. They have been the standard. They have been the ones that everyone has aspired to become. Like, I want to have a first touch like a Brazilian. I want to have the flair and the confidence on the ball like a Brazilian. I want to have the coolness and the composure in any aspect of the game like a Brazilian. And unfortunately, the more I watch this Brazil team, I almost feel like they've been coached out of that style. I've seen it now for a number of years and a number of cycles where you've taken all of the individual things that made Brazilians so brilliant and made Brazilians almost the leaders and the trailblazers within football. And now all of a sudden you're trying to make them like a European team. You're trying to make them structured and around these tactics and all the rest of it. What's made Brazilians so special is that they play football on instinct. They don't play football necessarily on a whole dynamic that's been put in front of them. And now it's almost as if that you've gone from everyone trying to catch you as the leaders in football to now all of a sudden trying to be like everybody else. And now they're in a massive identity crisis where they need to kind of rip it out from the core and say, let's start again and let's go back to what makes us special, what makes our fullback special, what makes our centre-half special, what makes our centre midfielder special, and what makes our forward line special. And it's all about individualism and that magic moment. And you had that person on the bench who still had that core to him in Neymar, and why we all fell in love with Neymar from the beginning. And yet, you didn't utilise him in the right moments, which tells me everything that I need to know about this team, and it tells me everything I need to know about the direction that this country is going.
We saw Ancelotti say there after the game, we're entering this new cycle, and you kind of alluded to it, JD. Brazil are always haunted by the history of their past, aren't they? How do they step into that new cycle now, then, Rodney?
You bring in a Brazilian manager. I think...
so you don't think Ancelotti is the guy?
I think Ancelotti's a fantastic manager, and I think he always has great teams. But now we're talking about international football. We're talking about Brazil, and I think Brazilian players do well with Brazilian coaches that know the culture and the game there. I was fortunate enough to play in Brazil, and I know how Brazilian players react and interact with Brazilian coaches. You talked about the flair. You talked about how your wingbacks attack. You talk about the skill. That is missing. He's a European coach. You need to bring in somebody that understands the proper way of playing football in Brazil.
Darian, do you think Ancelotti's the right guy for the job? Do you think he would have learned anything from this World Cup to take to the next one if he's still there?
Yeah, I think he's such a player's manager. And looking at the performances that they've had, I think you guys have both said it to a T. They are not playing bold. They're playing fearful. We're not seeing the joy. We're not seeing the flair on the ball. And moving forward, you have to get that back out of this team, out of the younger players. Who's the next player that's going to step up, like a Vinicius Jr.? How do you get the best out of him? And that's when he's the guy that's responsible. He's the guy on the ball. You're giving it to him. You're giving him chance after chance. They did not do that. So, yeah, looking forward, he's going to have to instill a lot more confidence in these players and have that audacity that we're used to seeing from Brazil, that we're so accustomed to seeing. Maybe they're not the most sound defensively team, but they're going to make teams respect them on the attack. The other team is going to have to adjust. And we just didn't see that this tournament, so that's what's going to change moving forward.
We've had some comments here about Brazil having many talented young players. I know we speak about Neymar, and he's obviously retired from international football. So how can they rely more on their young players? Is it building it up from the youth?
I tell you what I liked.
Bring them in.
I tell you what I liked about this Brazil selection more than any other previous team that has kind of failed at major tournaments most recently, they chose a lot of players that still play in Brazil. They really wanted to try to tap into that core and get those domestic flair back into their team. Unfortunately, when it came to utilising those players, they actually didn't utilise them. That's the annoyance I had, because I could see what Ancelotti was feeling in terms of the selection. You want to grab the nostalgia and the attention piece, which is Neymar. You want to grab that young core of Brazilian players that are playing domestically and give them an opportunity to showcase what they can do and sprinkle it in with the players that's playing across world football with their experience and what they've achieved in the game. Unfortunately, you focus on only one part of those three, and the part that you focus in is unfortunately the part that's un-Brazilian. Those players that are playing in Europe, fantastic players, great demonstration in terms of who they are. But if I put Bruno Guimarães in a Portugal shirt, you would have no idea that he was a Brazilian. If I put him in an Italian shirt, you'd have no idea he's a Brazilian. He doesn't give me the core of what I've grown up watching. I've watched some of the best holding midfielders in Brazil in the history of this game still be able to half turn and pivot over both shoulders, still be able to play a ball 60 yards, have a double step over and turn around and showcase what they can do. Because it doesn't matter where we are. Why we fall in love with Roberto Carlos? He wasn't your typical fullback. Cafu's another example, wasn't your typical fullback. Lucio is another one. Where is the Brazilians that have made the foundation of football and why we love them? Unfortunately, they're not in the squad right now. They're not getting selected and they're not getting picked. So Brazil will continue to fail until they go back to what's made them great for history.
I would argue that they are in the squad. I think those players are in the squad. I think the confidence level was so low going into this that if your coach is telling you, we know this as players, if your coach is saying, we're going to go into a low block, we're going to be compact, and we're just going to let them have the ball, and let's just try to counter. You're like, all right, we're not confident in the attack. We're actually fearful of what they're going to do to us. That's not Brazil. I think you can't transmit that as a player until your coach is giving you that confidence.
That's when your leaders step up, though. That's when Neymar says, this is not the Brazil that I know. This is not the way that we grew up playing this game. This is not who we are. And we say, let's go. We got to get ourselves back into rhythm by playing the way that we play, dictating this game going forward. And again, having players like Neymar not being 100%, I think that plays a big factor in it.
Elio, where are you from?
From Brazil.
From what part of Brazil?
Paraná.
You came from Paraná all the way for this match?
I live here, but I'm from
okay.
Paraná. Yeah.
All right, Elio, what are you feeling right now with Brazil eliminated?
It's disappointing. Disappointing. It's my third time seeing Brazil get eliminated in the World Cup. And it's just, and I feel like we could have done more this time.
Yeah, what went wrong, do you think?
The finishing. We're not clinical. We're just, they slowed the game down. We let them do it. We played like it's a practice. And they were looking for one ball. They got two.
How do you think Brazil played overall? Like, rate from a 0 to a 10. How was Brazil's performance today?
Today, I feel like we played like it was practice. I will give it like a 4. It was terrible. No intensity.
Elio, the star player, Vinicius Junior, penalty kick to go ahead. He gives it to Bruno Guimarães. What do you think?
He's got to take that responsibility. He's the man of the team. At that point, get Neymar in and have him take it. And take Bruno Guimarães.
What do you think it says about Vini that he didn't want to take that penalty kick? Or he let somebody else take it when he's the face of this generation?
He's not ready to take the responsibility. He's got to do it.
When's he going to be ready, though?
Never. I don't think he'll ever be ready to take on that role of the leader.
Elio, are you Ancelotti in or Ancelotti out?
At this point, out. Yeah, he couldn't do it. He had the time to do it, couldn't do it. So.
Were you ever convinced by Ancelotti in Brazil, even in the World Cup qualifiers?
Not really. I don't like his style of play.
Why?
We need somebody that likes to play with the ball. Like today, we played reactive. That's not Brazil. We let Norway take hold. Like we let Odegaard and Berg take hold of the game. That's not our game. We got to take the ball, have possession, and play.
What's next for Brazil?
No midfield geezer.
What's next? I don't know. Go get Guardiola.
Guardiola.
Go get Pep. Go get Pep.
Bro,